Hey, what's going on, Kingdom Diplomats? I'm out here on my back porch. Gosh, it's got to be about 75 degrees. Wind chills probably about 5 to 7 miles per hour. Birds chirping, all kind of beautiful looking clouds. Carolina, blue skies. Here's some of the vehicles going up and down the road. Everybody going about their business. Just another normal day, right? And hopefully you guys had a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to you fathers. And I don't know if you guys have my Facebook information, but I put a post on there that there's a difference between fatherhood slash motherhood and being a parent. And biologically, you can be a father or mother and then disappear, but those parents that have raised those kids and been through the thick and the thin and been through the most difficult times in life, that could be biological. That's what it should be, but a lot of times it's not like that. But there's definitely a difference in that, and I'm not here to talk about that. But hopefully, you fathers had a great weekend. Although fatherhood and motherhood, parenthood is a lifetime thing. But just wanted to stop in here just for a few minutes. If welcome as always. If you're new, welcome. You came at the right place at the right time. It's summertime and people have gotten more laid back, lackadaisical. It seems like depending upon where you are in the world and where you are. I'm in the southeast part of the U.S. and it's humid, so some days it seems like you're walking in slow motion. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, it's kind of like that. Have you ever seen those trees? Or it's kind of like a sloth. It always seems like no matter how much energy you have with that humidity, golly, it's kind of like you're walking in slow motion. Kind of like that scene where they do the hero and his crew walking down the street while something blows up behind their back and everything. So, but anyway, so here's one of the reasons why I like doing these. And before I get into this, let me give you a glimpse while I'm talking. So this is our backyard right here, and as you can see, the clouds and beautiful blue skies, trees over there and everything. I did that because I want you guys to understand it's important to get out there and soak your soul. The Latin word for soul means sucre. It means to be social. So that's the second part of the triune being that we are. It's very important to get out and soak your soul and have your five senses be immersed and assimilate the environment that you're in, because that's part of the creation, the creator that created us, our being. So it's very important you can be social with other people. That's very important, that's very vital, but it's also good to get away, even sometimes by yourself, with nature also too, with the environment, and soak it in. So that's extremely important. I find out sometimes that's how I'm able to kind of get my eyes off of my mind mostly off of the things that are going on a day-to-day basis, and running these businesses, these companies, and family, and so on and so forth. So it's always important to do that for yourself, right? It's kind of you get recharged, you get refreshed. So that's something that I learned. That's a law that I've learned of becoming a more effective dad, a more effective husband, a more effective just overall leader, and just a civic leader, and doing things for my community, and so on and so forth. I want to show you guys something real quick. Look at this little rabbit right there. I don't know if you guys can see him. He's kind of right there in the bushes right there. We got a family of them that kind of comes over when it's real quiet, but he must be a baby because his mom's probably yelling for him right now. He's probably running away from chores or something like that. But that's very rare that they come with all this noise in the background. So you see the title of my this episode. I believe I'm on 17th episode, season 1 of Kingdom Diplomat, is about your future. And I love talking about that because it always has to do with potential, and potential is dormant power. If you ever seen movies and you've seen, those scenes where they have to blow up something to get somebody's attention or as a decoy or distraction of some sort, and that's what potential is. Potential is dormant power. And dormant power is something that was all put inside of us. We just have to find out what that power is inside of us, that gift, right? So the tree, I wanted to kind of elaborate on that. I don't think I've talked about it some and elaborated some on previous talks before, but the tree that's inside the seed. So as you guys already know, you can look this up yourself, but a seed is a converting mechanism, right? There's an image in that seed, right? There's a tree, and guess what? The image that is, we're a little bit past Father's Day weekend, but our dad, released his sperm into our mother, and guess what? Out of those 500 million sperms, voila, we were picked. The Lord was like, I want that one. So congratulations, you made it. So I made it, you made it, right? Out of over 500 million. So within that seed, there is a tree, and we're the tree, right? Now, so that gift that's inside of us, my question to you, and I always ask myself, the question is, what environment am I putting my seed so it can grow, right? And so if you notice, if you've ever taken your kids, if you've ever been to like a strawberry farm, or maybe what else you have out there, any type of farm that has fruits or vegetables, specifically fruits, and that farm, obviously people never pay attention, if you notice, to the plant or the tree. They go straight for the fruit. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. But all the hard work that image of that tree did, being in the right environment, submitting to the law of the soil, right? The chlorophyll and going down to spread its roots, that takes a lot of work. I remember when I was in elementary school, we were tasked with, in science, of growing some type of plant. But I could never get mine to really grow like it should. It just, I don't know. I don't even remember what kind of grade I got. It probably was like a C. I ended up with a 2.7 GPA graduating from high school. But anyway, a lot of lack of interest, a lot of ignorance. But the point I'm trying to make is that people focus on the fruit, right? So if you do know what's natural to you and you're mastering your seed, what I recognize is that when people pat you on the back, be polite. Okay, this is what I learned to do. Be polite. Thank you. I appreciate that. But deep down inside, I have in the back of my mind, it's not me. So I separate me from my gift, my teaching gift. Okay. So when they say, because here's why, as I said before, when people approach a tree or a plant, they're looking for the fruit. They're not looking for the tree, right? They don't pay homage to it. They don't hug the tree, like Birkenstocks. They're not tree huggers, right? There's a reason why that. So, you have to learn to separate your fruit from yourself or from your talent and ability. If you're a sports watcher, football, basketball, whatever, some of the favorite players around the world, see, most of them, if not all of them, probably attach their self-image to their fruit. And they make a big mistake in doing that. Why? Because let's use the example of Jesus Christ. Now, his fruit was being Christ, the Spirit, second part of the Trinity, coming through the womb, which is the doorway to this planet. That's why you call a woman, womb man, a man with a womb. That's the doorway to this planet. He came in the form of Jesus Christ, right, to bring back his kingdom government. Okay, and so with that being said, he healed people. There was a lot of miracles. There was abundance miracles, right? When he fed 15,000 people. Um, and if somebody says that, oh, I don't believe that, that's because they're ignorant. There's different laws. You know what I'm saying? The unseen is more real than the seen realm. Okay. The words that I'm speaking right now, you can't even see my words, but you can hear my words, and they convert to images on the right side of your brain. But that's a whole nother topic. You can't see wind, but you can feel the effects of the wind. Okay, so he did all that, right, and he had those people who were following his disciples, which means students. So that's an academia word. So that means he had a school. He was called a master teacher of the kingdom of God, of the kingdom of heaven. And so when I was probably not reading not too long ago, maybe a week or two ago, he jumps on the donkey, right, and they sing Hosanna to the highest, right, and Hosanna to the highest, King. He's basically the natural lineage of King David, right? See, I told you the Bible's not about a religion. The Bible's about a kingdom, a government, right? This is all about a law-based colonization idea. So they lay out these big, huge leaves, right? And if you remember, he didn't take a left and go towards Caesar's place, because most of those people, those religious people, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Herodians, they wanted them, because you got to remember now, back then, they were colonized by the Romans. The Romans were the top civilization of the known world. They ruled everything from Africa to Europe, and I think even some parts of Asia. Maybe they haven't got that far, but I mean of the known world. And so they thought he was going to take a left, and they were saying Hosanna to the highest, such and such and such, or King David. And they thought they were ready to go to war with Caesar, right? But he took a right and went towards Calvary. So they was like, wait a minute, this can't be the Messiah. Now, in a way, if you see through the scriptures, that they kept thinking that he was a prophet, which actually a prophet actually means you're speaking for God. But if you look at John, he is God, right? He was and is God, right? But anyway, that's another topic. So the whole purpose of me saying that is that 3 days prior to that, they were just so excited, and they talked about him and everything, because they were thinking, you got to put yourself in these people's position. He was healing their mother, their father. They had paralyzation, they had kidney disease, they had dropsy fluid on the brain and the body, they had diabetes, they had leprosy back then. They had all kind of things that they have today. Not as prevalent, but they have today. Just a lot in third world countries. So I say all that to say this, is that because he took a right, they said crucify the brother, right? Crucify that cat. 3 days prior to that, they were so in awe and just followed him around everywhere, because a lot of those people were looking for entertainment. Right? They were entertainment junkies. They were on entertainment porn. Right? They said, you know what? We don't have to work anymore. We could just follow this cat around, just listen to him, take naps in between, 5, 10, 15,000, 20,000 people. If you've been to a concert of some sort, imagine that. And he's getting the attention of all these people, because it was like, my gosh. These people were saying, we ain't got to work no more. Get the kids out of school. You know what I'm saying? We can just follow this dude around, and we got food taken care of. We got transportation, so on and so forth. We got it made, right? We're on the government dole. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, again, my point is this: is that that was his one of his teaching gifts was to heal people. Even though he emptied himself of his glory and might and power, he did it 100% man and also 100% God. But that's a whole nother topic in itself. But his talents and his abilities and what he did to supernaturally do certain things above nature, in other words, to do certain things, they turned their back on him 3 days later. So your talents and your abilities, your gift that's inside of you, that tree that is inside of you that's supposed to produce fruit for the world, remember, in the back of your mind, when they pat you on the back, be cordial, be kind and everything, but always think, hey, you know what? These people can turn on me. And that is the cost of leadership. I didn't put leadership in the title because many of you, if not most of you, don't believe that you're leaders. I'm here to tell you right now, you are a leader trapped in a follower. Now, see, leadership is about self-discovery. Let me put this down here. So, so leadership is about self-discovery. Okay, so people think politicians, presidents, prime ministers, are leaders, but they're not leaders. Okay, not all of them. We look at leaders and say, oh well, they got these many votes, or oh well, they got these, they got all these people following them on these social media platforms, 1 million, 3 million people. But a lot of these people behind the scenes, and as we've all found out lately over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, the truth about a lot of things, they're just manipulators, right? See, if you don't understand and that leadership is self-discovery, and that it's not to be abused to control people, it's to be used to be a servant leader. Now, I've heard people in the past, especially in Christendom, talk about being a servant leader, and here's how I understand it. Here's how I learned it. Being a servant doesn't mean that you're a rug. Just like I hear people talk about being humble, which I believe that many people, if not most, don't understand the word humility. Humility means to be teachable and forgiving of oneself and others. Now, if you think about that, that takes a lot of inner strength, a lot of power, a lot of maturity over time and growth of learning some things, gathering the right kind of knowledge, um, understanding certain things of certain laws, and then also applying them, using wisdom. So it's not, leadership is not about controlling people. That's manipulation, right? And so there's a difference between, I like to say, real leaders, or I heard another person, my spiritual father, he said true leaders. I like to say real leaders, and real leaders are people who are servant leader. What do they serve? They find out what their gift is, their natural ability, right? One of their gifts. They master that gift, one gift at a time, right? And then they serve it to their fellow man. Guess what? Because of that law, okay, when you serve it to your fellow man, they automatically pay you for it, right? Sometimes you got to give it away for free. If you read about anybody starting a business, any jobs that you've been to for the first time, or for, let's say the first week or 2 or 3, sometimes they give you like a water bottle, right? If you remember that in some of your employment history, right? Or they give you like a bottle holder or a warmer or a pen or something like that. So that company, the owners of that company or owner of that company, they're giving away their fruit for free. Are you listening to me? Okay. So leadership again is about self-discovery. Now that's the journey, right? And putting our seed in the right environment. So my question to you is that, do you even care about your tree that's in that seed, because we all have one. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. And if you're doing stupid stuff right now, quit it. Why? Because your choices, I'm coming to you friend to friend, okay? I had to have people talk to me when I was mentored, you know. Right now, I'm in the process of looking for different mentors in different areas. But I've had to have some of my mentors kind of, you know, jerk slap me, you know, say certain things that offended me. Remember, the word offense means to shock, because I needed to be woken up right here, right? We're creatures of habit. So a lot of times, you know, we get prideful, and we don't think that we can learn anymore. Nobody can teach me anything anymore. I'm an eternal student. You know, I like to learn any way, which way I can from anybody, right? So when I'm approaching somebody, when I'm talking to somebody, like I'm talking to you guys right now, I'm just an important person talking to important people. You feel me? So hopefully that makes sense to you. And I'm talking to people that have an amazing, bodacious, bold, more than conquering, world overcoming gifts that are inside of them. So, as I said before, what I'm looking to do is to empower you to get that out. So, speaking of empowerment, that's part of self discovery as far as leadership. So, think of times in your past, and you know, I don't know if you noticed this, when you were younger, if your parents are still in the flesh, you should ask your parents, you know, what are some of the things that I did when I was younger? And if you listen to your parents or your grandparents or your aunt, your uncle, whoever raised you, those leadership qualities actually surfaced when you were a little kid. You know why? Because as we get older, the world tells us that, hey, just stay in your place. Hey, don't speak until you get spoken to. And a lot of that mentality comes all the way back to slavery mentality. I'm not just talking about 200 years ago, 150 years ago. I'm talking about 3, 4, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago. And even in the African continents where there was, tribes fighting each other because they're trying to get power. Yes, there was plenty of slavery. Matter of fact, slavery's never stopped physically. Um, all around the world since man's existence, on every single continent. And I do know for a fact that there's slavery going on right now here in the United States. Sex slavery, right around in our noses and our faces. Labor slavery, right? I'm talking about physically now. Um, and we put a lot of money in trying to do that to people who are righteous, right? And going after and trying to stamp that out or stomp that out, right? We have also, slavery over in Egypt, and I'm sure other different African countries. We have big corporations, who go behind the scenes and with the help of different governments, right? And when they want a natural resource in a country, they got access to hundreds of billions of dollars. And so they go through different policies and so on and so forth. And guess what? Much of the world is not in that area. All they got to do is pay off the government, their government, because they're poor, and go take what they want: gold, silver, oil, and so on and so forth. Why? Because that leadership. Listen to me now. This goes back to Genesis 1:26. Let us, the Trinity, God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, us make mankind, male plus female, in our image, spiritual characteristics, in our likeness. Have them to function like us, and let them, right? When they said let them, when God said let them, he's talking about us, male and female, mankind, to have dominion over the earth. And that's when he lists right after that the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, and everything that creepeth and crawleth, right? Yeah, so that's dominion, that's kingship, that's leadership, that's control, that's power. So these people, prior to me saying this, the corporations and the people and the conglomerations of people who do this type of stuff, right, are violating the law of love, and they're violating the law of life, right? So within those laws, within every single law, I realized, like the law of gravity and the law of lift, there's consequences. So that's how God created them. He doesn't he put see he makes the law, and if you follow the law, if you put the right ingredients to the recipe, then the law will work for you positively, and it'll bless other people. You feeling me? So that tree's fruit will bless the neighborhood, will bless the state, the nation, the country. But if you reverse that law, right? The law of lift, the law of gravity, all the law of life, the law of love. I've given plenty of examples of that. Guess what? You activate the law, you violate that law, and you activate death in those laws. So these corporations, these countries, these communities are activating that type of thing. You know, when children, if they abuse their parents, right, physically, verbally, all the type of things. What they don't understand is that they're activating the law of death, the law of sin and death. Remember what I said? Sin means. Sin doesn't mean, it's not a religious word. Sin, it means to rebel and commit anarchy. You got it? You should write that down. So when somebody says you sinned, don't think of a religion, because it's not a religion. See, a kingdom is not a religion, it's not a democratic republic, it's not a constitutional republic, it's a kingdom. Okay, and that's a government. A kingdom is a government, and that's the government that Jesus came to bring back, right? Because it was here initially through Adam, which all of us came out of that one man. And if you want to know more about that, just go to my previous talks. So in closing, again, you have to understand leadership is about self-discovery. And if you don't put your seed in the right place, your tree's never going to take root. And if you don't put your seed in the right place, your tree is never going to come out of that seed, and you're never going to produce fruit. Now, I do know out of all my subscribers, all the Kingdom Diplomat family, not everybody's going to take heed to what I'm saying. Some of you will act on some of the things that I recommended and suggested. Some of you be like, I'll peek in and out, hey, I got this going on, I got that going on. It's all good. And then there's some of you who's like, oh man, it's okay. I'm not going to pay attention. See, I understand that business is a law of numbers, right? If you're in sales, and everybody's trying to sell something, everybody is, what I'm saying? It doesn't matter who you are, retired, working now, little kid, everybody's selling something. Okay, you may not want to call it that, but you're selling something, right? Or you're being sold something. Okay, you're doing either or you're doing both at the same time. Okay, so but that self discovery, the journey of leadership, you're going to find putting your seed in the right position, the right place, right, the right environment. So again, you always have to look at your ear and eye gates. What kind of movies are you watching, right? One of my addictions is I like kick butt movies. Guys really like that, right? Blow them up, shoot them up, slice them up, all that type of thing. So I really have to monitor that. Why? Because I looked at I looked at a lot of that stuff, and other stuff that I should have looked at when I was younger, right? And it's been ingrained into my head, and it's in our society, right? And so I have to monitor that, right? Because my decisions are affecting my family, right? And so the dad, which is the parent, not the father, not just the mother and the father. Hopefully the father and the mother is the dad and the mom. But as a dad, my choices will affect 4+ generations. And if you're a dad listening to me right now, you right now got 4 generations in your loins. Whether you have a child right now or you have a grandchildren, you got another 2 or 3 generations. So your habits, your sin, your whatever is going to affect your 4+ generations. A generation is 30 to 40 years. So I want you to think about the things that character is who we are when no one's watching. Okay. So anyway, so leadership, that leadership seed is in all of us. Okay. So what I would like for you to do, and what I constantly try to do myself, is I try to evaluate and I try to self-correct. Okay, like the when you put your navigation too long, you put your address in, and then you're going a certain way, and let's say you take a wrong turn, and then it kind of makes a little noise, and then you got to self-correct, right? So you'll automatically have to do that. So assess the things that you're taking into your ear and eye gates. Assess your family and your friends, the people that you're hanging around, right? What are you doing on a daily basis? The stuff that you've done over the last 5 years has determined where you are in every single area of your life right now, all the way down to the financial realm. Now, this next 5 years will determine your next 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, right? And that will determine your seeds, right? Even your siblings, because people are watching, trust me. There was people watching me some years ago when my wife and I were running this, our nutritional business, marketing business, and unbeknownst to me, I didn't find out till later on in life, I had a cousin. What I mean by he was watching me, he was watching my habits, how I dress, how I talk to my wife, how she talks to me, a lot of different things, and I didn't find out till years later on, right? So there's people watching this. Grandparents, you're being watched. Aunts, uncles, you're being watched. Cousins, you're being watched. What are you doing? Crime doesn't pay. I'm gonna tell you that right now. There's a penalty for crime, because that's in violation of the law of love, the law of life. There's a whole bunch of laws, and that doesn't even include the natural laws, in our city, in our county, in our state, and everything like that. So you guys are leaders. You can make a decision no matter what you've done to repent, which means, what does repent mean? Change your thinking, and then ask for forgiveness. Put that thing up under the blood. That's why he came. Well, that's one of the reasons why he came. That's a checkpoint of why Jesus came. Why? Because he put us down here to make this planet look like planet heaven. That's the whole purpose of Jesus Christ coming, right? So the cross is just a checkpoint. It's part of the redemption plan. Okay, it's not a religion. I'm gonna keep saying that because I guarantee you there's people that it's just gonna go right over their head. Why? Because they've been brainwashed. They're either in the religion or they're gonna be brainwashed, continually, and they jump from religion to religion, because I understand some people just want a religion. Some people just wanted some things, some rituals, some customs, some traditions to keep doing over and over again. And then once they're done with that, 1-2 hours a day, they just want to go back and just live their life the way they want to live it. Folks, we don't have time to waste. There's a purpose, a reason why you're here. Okay? So again, your future, the tree that's trapped on the inside of you, has to be in the right environment. If you have it on the kitchen counter, if you have it on the bathroom floor, if you have it on the concrete of your front porch, it's not gonna grow. It's not gonna come out. And I promise you, one of the biggest regrets, if not the biggest regret, is saying, man, I wish I woulda, I coulda, but I didn't. To have that torment in your mind, right? So remember what I said. These things that you do, the decision that you make today after this podcast, and these podcasts, hopefully you made them before, will determine these next 2 years, 3 years, 4. Listen, it only takes 3 years. 3 years. It only takes 3 weeks to make a new habit. Now all hell's gonna break loose, and you trying to break that habit, right? People are going. Let's say you want to separate from the people that are keeping you down. Let's say you're doing drugs. Let's say you're just sitting around watching TV. Let's say you're just sitting talking bad about your spouses. Let's say you're sitting around. Let's say you're just wasting your life away, right? That means you don't value yourself. Well, I'm here to tell you that you do have value. Okay, I don't care who you are. I don't care what continent you live on. I don't care if you're watching me way out in the bush in Africa, way out in the mountains in Tibet, way somewhere in Russia. I don't care where you're in Iceland, it doesn't matter. No matter where you are, if you connect to the King, there is a gift. You are a solution to a problem in your generation that needs to be solved, that nobody else can solve and do it the way you can do it. Nobody. Okay? Nobody. From a physical standpoint, after this and I'm done, when you look at your feet and you look at your hands, most of you have your birth certificate and you have your footprints and your handprints. Those are unique, right? They're even trying to make doubles of us, right? You see that on all these TV shows from years and years ago. I think they made back in the 1990s. Well, that's probably when it was advertised on the media, but it probably was, I would say, 30, 40 years before that. They cloned a sheep, right? But that DNA that's inside you, physically speaking, your hands, your feet, right there distinguishes you from every human being. I don't care if you're a twin, fraternal, triplet, quintuplet. I don't care if you all look alike. It don't matter. You're still distinguished just from that. Now, if you got physical DNA, check this out. Remember what I said before, you, the spirit man, that's the true you. When you step out that body, the body hits the ground. You've been to a funeral before, right? And so your spirit has DNA, because spirit is actually a material. Okay, you just can't feel it because we in this flesh, bone, blood body, and this environment, right, on this planet, right? And remember what I said before, you being in this body gives you authority. What's authority? Authority means the legal right to make decisions and give commands, and the power, which means to control your future. So remember, we're here to colonize this planet and make it look like planet heaven, or the kingdom of heaven, which is a government. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. I'm done. You guys have a great rest of your week. Please, 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 yes, take some time to rest, but please still work on your vision list. Write down what you want. I don't care if you're 80 years young, you know, live to be 90. Why not? It's your decision. You can if you want to. Live to be 100. Actually, in Genesis 6:3 and NIV, we were promised 120 years. And don't tell me there hasn't been people who lived 120 years. If you go back in the old covenant, there was people living 6, 7, 8, 900 years. Oh, I don't believe that. Well, that's because you've been programmed to be ignorant and to believe not otherwise. So you got to realize something, that Adam, he didn't die for I think he lived to be about 929 years. We weren't designed to die. We're on the other side of, we're on spiritual death side. Okay, we're on the death side. So we weren't, I don't want to say alive, but even though we were in Adam, but we weren't in the flesh before Adam committed sin, before he rebelled and committed anarchy against the King, Christ, okay? So we don't understand what true life is. We don't understand just absolute life, absolute, no sickness, no disease, no poverty, no lack, no pain, no weakness, no headaches, no nothing, right? Everything, all the molecules are 100% healthy and whole, no dirt, all the grass is filled in, just imagine that in your life. One of the things I like looking at is Bob Ross. You should look him up and look at some of his paintings. That was his gift, by the way. One of his gifts was art. And look at the fruit. He planted his art gift in the right area, right? His seed in the right environment. I'm sure he didn't hang around people and listen to the teacher that maybe made fun of him when he was younger as he was developing his artship. I'm sure he didn't listen to him, obviously, because he's a legend, right? Bob Ross is a legend. But when you look at his paintings, just the organic nature of it, imagine something like that was before the fall of man. Okay? So we were never supposed to die. This body right here was supposed to be a glorified body, which means if you can look this up yourself, every 7 to 15 years, this is called aging, our cells are born, they multiply, they go to its peak, and then they die, right? That's aging, okay? And there's a lot of things that cause us to age faster, the toxins and stuff they put in the food and the water and the air and all that stuff like that. But again, my purpose is to tell you this, is that you have significance, you have value, you are a leader trapped in a follower. You just have to get it in the right environment. And this is one of the reasons why I do this podcast. Why? Because I need you, just like you need me, but I need you, each and every one of you, to plant your seed. Okay? Now, if you really want to know about the King, because listen, my whole life turned around, 25 years ago, spiritually. But mentally, I had a few clicks that changed. The third click changed about 5 years ago. And as a result, I'm on a trajectory that's going like this. Now, the world, financially, and all other areas are going like this, while I'm going like this. Now, how am I able to do that? How am I able to do that? Why should I do that and continue to do that? What am I doing? Okay. When am I doing it? You see what I'm saying? Where am I doing these things? Okay. And the things that I'm talking about is law. It's all law based, because with law, you can predict where you end up in life. I'm going to say that again. You can predict, when you know the unseen and natural laws, right? Just like if you're a U.S. citizen and you know the laws, your local laws, your ordinances, your laws, your constitutional laws. If anybody violates those laws, right, you know what to do. You know how to get a lawyer, and they should know it also too. But for you knowing it, then less people will be able to take advantage of you. Government won't be able to take advantage of you because you know your laws. As a matter of fact, one of my businesses, okay, is about recovery. Okay, I'm in the recovery industry. Okay, and guess what? It's notifying people that don't know certain laws. They have lack of knowledge. Now, what did I say is the number one enemy of us, mankind? It's not Satan. It's not sin, which is rebellion and anarchy. It's not, that dude that just, keeps picking on you, punch him in the nose. But anyway, but it's not your boss at work that kind of gets on you. It's not your wife, your son, or your kids, or anything like that. Okay, the number one enemy of us is lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge means lack of revelation. Revelation means re means again, veil, to reveal something to somebody. That means we had the revelation, which is back in Genesis in the old covenant, and then Christ had to come back and give us revelation again. That's what Christ was talking about. Jesus Christ was talking about when he said, I am the light of the world. He wasn't talking about the light bulb. Light bulb on, light bulb off. Now there's a correlation with that, but when you have the knowledge that I picked up over this last 5 years, let alone the last 25 years, through leadership, mentorship, a person who 25 years ago, I think I was only making like $3 an hour, and some of the projects that I'm doing right now, I'm yielding, 2 hours of work, 3 hours of work, an hour of work, 5 figures, right? And I'll be doing something later on here very shortly that's going to yield much more. These are the laws that I'm conveying to you. It can work anywhere. You don't have to come to the United States for these laws to work. Laws can work anywhere. See, the law works way over in Africa. It works in Iceland, Greenland. It works in Canada. It works in the Barbados. Are you listening to me? It works over there in Europe. It works in Ukraine. Laws work everywhere. Unseen laws work everywhere, but you got to know them, right? And I'm telling you, my source is the Bible. Okay? And I'm like a Japanese bullet train, 200 plus miles per hour, trying to get de-religionized. I don't even know if that's a word, but I just made it up. It's a Tyreekism. I'm looking to be de-religionized. I'm assimilating away from religion. Why? Because the more I do that, the more these 6 inches, the more this real estate between my ears expands and grows more fruit. Are you listening to me? And I can predict my future just like you can predict your future when you know those laws. Okay? So I'm out of here. You guys have a great evening. Please subscribe if you have not. Please send this video out to other people who, not only yourself that needs to hear it, listen to it again. Please listen to it again. People that I follow, I listen to it over and over and over and over. That's called wisdom. We need that because there's so many things coming at us telling us that we're no good because of our education or lack thereof, because of our color, or because of our accent, because of our looks, because of we're skinny, short, fat, ugly, slim, handsome, good looking, gorgeous, whatever. There's so many things coming at us every single day. Did you know the fashion industry is predicated? Listen to me now. The fashion industry is predicated based on people with low self-worth. Because I don't have a pair of Jordans. I've never bought a pair of Jordans. Can I afford a pair of Jordans? Right now, I can probably get 100 pair of Jordans if I want to. Actually, I can probably get about 500 pair of Jordans right now if I want to. Right? But my self-image isn't surrounded by a silhouette by Michael Jordan. Are you listening to me? Or Tommy Hilfiger or Polo or whatever like that. Why don't you grab a sheet of paper, ma'am, sir, whatever religion that you're in, it don't matter. Why can't you have your own fashion? Why can't you do it? Right? Why can't you design your own car? Why can't you see what you focus on is what you're going to get? And if you focus on the wrong, see, this is one of the things that TV, the people who are on TV itself, the idea is not bad. It's the things that are on the TV. See, water is good for us and it's good for our body because our body's made up of 70 to 90% water in our molecules. But it's the stuff from the municipality, the water authority, all the chemicals that they put in it. And when you drink that stuff, that tap water, it'll kill you. There's all kind of stuff in there. I used to have to go to these nutritional classes. I used to learn from this world-renowned physiologist. He's known all around the world, and he used to go to his classes. Man, I learned a lot of stuff, about water. You drinking tap water, that stuff will kill you. It'll put all kind of tumors in you, and it'll tear your brain up. Oh, here's another thing too. If you're eating tuna fish, there's my nutritional background coming out. In the Kingdom Constitution, in the Bible, it says don't eat fish that don't have scales. Or let me reverse that. Eat fish that has scales. Why did God say to do that? Because when they don't have scales, all the pollution in the water, the mercury, and you eat it, it gets into your brain and it causes dementia. It causes Alzheimer's. Where do you think all these people right now, where do you think that's coming from? They're probably drinking tap water. Hello? You feel me? Man, I hope y'all getting this. I'm learning a lot. If y'all not learning anything, I know I am. Because every time I talk, I'm learning something. Okay? I said that about 2 or 3 times. So let me get up out of here. I'm not going to give you everything I know, I promise you, in 35, 45, 48 minutes. This is nowhere near. This is 91% of what I know. And I've been doing this for 17 weeks now. Trust me. So you guys have a great week. Just do me a favor. In the chat box, what city, what country, what state that you were listening to. I like to do that just for planning stuff. And doing preparations for future podcasts and everything. If you have a business topic you'd like for me to talk about, if you have a certain law that you're kind of unclear of, feel free to throw that in there. And if not, no big deal. So you guys have a great weekend. I love you guys. I don't care if you hate me. And trust me, I don't hate people. There's evil people out there doing a lot of bad things. I don't hate them. I just hate what they do. I hate the evil things that they do, right? Yeah, you guys have a great week. Take care. Please don't waste time. Please don't waste time. Write your vision down. Write it in detail. Get a plan. Take some time out for yourself. You are worth it. You have a great night. Take care.